Now, game week 1 might still be underway, but I think it's best to get ahead of the curve. And in today's video, I'm going to let you know my favourite team to target over the next few game weeks and identify some key players from those teams that you should be looking to bring in to your side. Now, before we dive into the video, I just want to say that if you are new to the channel, we are trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the calendar year. It would be absolutely incredible if we could do that. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as there is plenty more fantasy football content coming your way over the next few weeks. First off, let's start off with some data from 11ify. I'll leave a link to their amazing website in the description. This is the projected goals and projected chance of a clean sheet over the next 5 game weeks. So on the left is projected goals, on the right is projected clean sheets. Some of the teams I would be looking to target if I didn't already have these players in my draft. Obviously Manchester City looking very, very tasty. They're yet to play, but you know, if the likes of Phil Foden, maybe Kevin De Bruyne look pretty juicy, those could be some assets that I might want to get my hands on. Liverpool as well, with a demolishing kind of, you know, impressive kind of performance against Ipswich today. Again, very good projected goals over the next 5 game weeks as well. So the likes of Diego Jota, Mohamed Salah, maybe if Gakpo and Nunes start to see some minutes and Diaz can lock down that left-hand side as well, could be all very, very valuable options as well. Arsenal, some decent ones in there, despite some difficult fixtures coming up for them. Obviously the game week 6 one against Leicester, but I think there is probably more hard games over the next 5 weeks than easy ones. It is around game week 6 that I would be obviously looking to jump on the Arsenal train. They've only realistically got Brighton next, but if you look at those after the performance that Brighton put in today, you've got Villa, Brighton, Tottenham, City. That doesn't sound like a great run on paper at the moment, so probably a team I would be looking to avoid. I think if you've already got their assets, it's fine, but if you are, you know, potentially considering it after today, maybe worth a little bit of a void. I know there's some decent projected goals in there, but those are hard fixtures in my personal opinion as well. Chelsea are a team, I think after the Manchester City performance, they go on one of the arguably the best runs we're going to get in the Premier League this season. The data as well is suggesting that that could be a very, very fruitful run for them in terms of projected goals. The clean sheets, a little bit more sporadic, but definitely worth, you know, some consideration as well. So definitely a team I would be looking to target. And then another one would be Fulham as well. Again, a really, really nice set of fixtures coming up for them. Newcastle and City probably their only difficult fixtures within the next 5. In between that, though, they're playing newly promoted Leicester, Ipswich today, who I did think looked very wobbly at the back as well and definitely could be taken full advantage of. So, you know what? There's definitely some strong teams in there that I think, you know, they could do exceptionally well against. So that is the 11ify data. Obviously, take a screenshot if you want to use that, or head over to their website. A link to that in the description as well. Right, let's move on. Let's keep the kind of data theme rolling and just look at the goals and clean sheet odds for game week 2. Obviously, sometimes it can get a little bit, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of confusing, and sometimes, you know, having that longer term vision can be a little bit, it just confuses you a little bit. That's probably the best way I'm going to describe it. I can't think of the word I'm looking for. But this is game week 2, and it might help you with certain captaincy decisions. It might help you with certain, you know, defender rotations that you're looking at for this week, and obviously which players that might do well that you want to pick up for this game week. So on the left is the goals column, the projected goals column, and then the clean sheet data as well. Rob T FPL also does an amazing set of these further down the week, so we will obviously include that in some other videos as well. I feel his are slightly more accurate than the Fantasy Football Hub ones, but for now we are going to use the Fantasy Football Hub one and see how it goes for the next few weeks if it is close to Rob T FPL's and obviously the betting data side of it. But some of the teams it is suggesting to obviously target: Liverpool at home to Brentford. Interestingly, higher projected goals than Manchester City. I'm not 100%, I think I agree with that one as well. City in 3rd, interestingly, behind Newcastle. I didn't think Newcastle looked overly fruitful today in front of goal, but obviously they were down to 10 men for large parts of the game. But Isak did manage to pick up an assist. I think Anthony Gordon is just trying to get himself back up to match fitness as well, but I'm not 100% convinced that Newcastle are going to score that many goals over, you know, game week 2. I think Manchester City should realistically be top of this projected data, but maybe with the likes of Foden and KDB missing, it could hamper their interests a little bit. And then the other games There's not really too many kind of standouts, is there, to be honest? Maybe Arsenal are up there for projected goals. Spurs against Everton, I think, will massively increase, especially with the betting data as well, after a poor performance for Everton. If, obviously, Spurs go and put in a very, very positive result against Leicester on Monday night, I definitely think the likes of Dominic Solanke and Son, their stocks will definitely go up just for game week 2 individually. After that, though, they have got Newcastle and Arsenal, so probably not worth bringing in just for that one game week in my opinion. I think you probably should have started with them to take advantage of the 2 opening fixtures rather than the 1, so probably not worth it. But looking at this, it is suggesting Liverpool, Newcastle and City are going to be the best teams for clean sheets and projected goals this week. Let me know if you agree with that down in the comments section, and let me know if you're looking at any of their players. Using that data, we have obviously identified Liverpool as one of the top teams to target for the upcoming run. I think it makes complete sense, doesn't it? Some of these fixtures coming up for Liverpool are stellar. Brentford, Manchester United, Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth, Wolves, Palace, Chelsea. That is an incredible run. They've got some fantastic players, and it seemed like, that second half, attacking-wise, they just clicked. They just were in gear. They knew exactly what to do, and they've got some fantastic players. I've outlined 3 here, but I think there's definitely some other shouts as well. I think I've missed out Dominic Szoboszlai, who did pick up an assist today at 6 million. He could be a very, very tidy option if he continues to perform in that 10 role as well. But the big boys, Mohamed Salah, let's start off with him first. A goal and assist. He always does it on the opening day. Rain or shine, Mohamed Salah is there. He'll very easily go and get over 200 points again. I have him in my team. I went without Haaland. We went with Mohamed Salah. Kind of stacked the midfield out as well with Bukayo Saka and Son as well. So hopefully he can deliver as well. But I think if you've got Haaland and you've obviously seen the Salah performance today and maybe getting a little bit of, FOMO, feel like you're missing out with this Liverpool run. For me personally, I think there's no point ripping your team up after one game week. Haaland has Ipswich next week. That is the big week for him, and that's the big week for the Haaland kind of gang and the Haaland captain gang. That could very easily make up this difference that Salah has got this week. So my first advice is going to be, obviously, just take your time. Don't rush into any decisions this week. Get all the data you've got. We've still got very minute data just from one game week, and the projected data I'm using here and the goal involvements and expected goal involvements are all from last season, because off one game you can't base anything. There's just too many variables involved. So everything from last season, where we've got a bigger data set, is more viable to use for me and my personal opinion. The predicted points as well, though, they're all from Fantasy Football Hub. Again, link in the description if you want to go and check out their website. But yeah, for me, Salah, I think it's not worth ripping your team apart to go and get him in. You've either got him or you haven't got him. It's simple as that. You've selected this at the start of the season. You've backed Erling Haaland to do better over these opening 5. But Mohamed Salah, if he does cook, that's down to your decision. There will be times to go and get him in, but there's no point for me personally ripping that team apart within 1 to 2 free game weeks if he is looking very good. You've made that decision, back Erling Haaland, especially next week. It could all be a very, very different situation. Diego Jota, on the other hand, comes in at 7.5, and I think he makes a more interesting option to potentially go for. It looks like, with Darwin not coming on the pitch at all, I think he's definitely nailed for the next few games. Could have very easily got himself a brace today and did look very, very creative. I'm a little bit gutted that I selected Anthony Gordon over Diego Jota. I think if I'd gone down that route, we would have been absolutely flying at the moment, to be honest. But Diego Jota has looked absolutely stellar, and as you can see, his per 90 data from last season, 21 games, 4 appearances off the bench, is absolutely incredible. If this man can keep himself fit for large proportions of the season and keep putting in attacking returns, I think he could be a stellar performer as well. The predicted points are pretty decent for a 7.5 million midfielder as well over the next 3, including arguably, on paper, a difficult fixture against Manchester United. But I definitely feel there's areas that, Liverpool could exploit them, to be honest. And then the final player is going to be Trent Alexander-Arnold. He picked up a bonus point. No, he actually picked up all 3, didn't he? If I'm mistaken. I think he picked up all 3 or 1. I can't remember which way around it was. I think it was 1 in the end. But he was so good. He looked so, so good today. Just the freedom and the creativity he was allowed to do. I know he's at that more elevated price point of 7 million. But I'm looking at him and I'm thinking I think Liverpool, they're up there for the 11-5 projected goals. They're up there for the 11-5 clean sheets. We just saw the Fantasy Football Hub clean sheet data as well for the upcoming week. Liverpool, one of the top teams again. So all the data, and obviously watching him from an eye test perspective today, is pointing to him being a great, great signing. Obviously, he's a little bit more difficult to get into your side at that 7 million price point, but I think he could massively make up for it. I think the way he was playing today, it was like owning a 7.5 million midfielder, to be honest, and getting clean sheet points as well. He seems like a little bit of a cheat code. I'm gutted I didn't go for him at the start because today he looked fantastic. The projected points as well are very, very decent for him. It's very, very close between him and Diego Jota. And I think over the course of the few weeks with, you know, more rotation and Champions League football coming into play, I think Trent will see more minutes and I think he'll pick up more points. It's a big claim, but that's what I'm going to go for. The final player I wanted to talk about with Liverpool, of course, was Kwanzaa. Came off in the 45th minute, Slot did say it wasn't an injury, it was tactical. Losing too many aerial battles was the quote that he said. So it's not encouraging for us Kwanzaa owners. I'm obviously in that position as well. I'm obviously going to wait and see for kind of projected lineups that are going to come out for Liverpool. I'm also going to wait to see what he says in the next press conference. He's also not too highly owned, so I don't think there's any reason that his price should massively decrease over the next few days. So I'm just going to wait, collect as much information before making a solid decision on whether or not I'm going to get rid of him. But more than likely we probably are, but maybe it might not be this week. I might still try and roll the transfer to next week. I've got good enough players to play, take it into next week, and then obviously look at 4.5 million options. Those were the Liverpool players. Let me know what you think of those down in the comments section. If you've got any questions as well about the Liverpool players, get them in. I'll try to answer as many as I possibly can. As we saw from looking at the data from 11FI, we could see that Fulham as well were one of the top teams for projected clean sheets and projected goals over the next 5 game weeks. As you can see, they've got some outstanding fixtures coming up for them in the next 3 as well. Newly promoted Leicester, Ipswich, and West Ham. I have put arguably their most, I'd say, recognisable assets on the screen right now, and we're going to talk through every single one, but obviously there are other amazing assets, but it's only been 1 game week, so it is kind of a little bit difficult to make some predictions on some of those. First off, let's start off with Muniz. It was an interesting one, wasn't it, for him and obviously Fulham last night. They didn't really create too much in terms of expected goals or big chances, but they definitely looked attacking, and definitely you could see that they could get at some lesser teams in the Premier League this season. Came off in the 81st minute, which isn't the best, but he is seeing out more than 60 minutes. And for 6 million, I think that's still quite, prolific, to be honest. There's some great fixtures in here. The predicted points over the next 3 as well are very, very tasty for him. 15.5, as we saw, that's very similar to what Diego Jota was putting up for predicted points according to the Fantasy Football Hub model as well. So very, very good in that regard if you are looking for a cheap forward option. Obviously as well, like I said, the fixtures are definitely there for him. He is a great number 9, and I feel if they whip the ball into him, get some more crosses into him, which they weren't doing the other night, I think he could be on the score sheet for a couple of these games as well. Next up is Smith Rowe, a very popular 5.5 million asset, and I wasn't convinced with his performance last night. Only stayed on for around 60 minutes and actually created nothing. Didn't create a single thing. I'm not even making this up. There wasn't even like a smidge on the expected chart in terms of goal involvement. Nothing. As you can see, his data from last season is going to be obviously skewed. I think he played less than 500 minutes last year. And I've gone a little bit cold on Smith Rowe, to be honest. He didn't quite look at the races. You could definitely tell there was a level that he wasn't quite at. And I think maybe over the next few games, he could certainly get himself into that level. But I don't think I'm going to recommend him as a 5.5 million option. I think there's definitely some great fixtures here for Fulham. But I think with the quality that they can very easily bring off the bench, we saw that last night with the likes of Harry Wilson, Tom Kearney. These are, average Premier League players. I feel that these continuation of kind of Fulham substitutions around the 60th minute are probably where he is going to lie, and I don't think longer term that is going to be great. I think as well with him not creating a single thing last night, it's not encouraging. We all know he's definitely got the capability and the talent, but I think for the limited minutes that you get in, probably would not be looking to invest in Smith Rowe right now. Interestingly though, one of the assets I would be looking to invest in is Robinson, and is a player that I have outlined as a potential Kwanzaa replacement if you need a player. Like I said, the upcoming fixtures are pretty decent, and arguably before the United scored the goal, the Zerki goal, he was on for 2 bonus points last night. Also one of the highest rated players on the FOTMob app as well, and just looked very comfortable, very good. Got down the wing a few times as well and did create a few opportunities for Fulham. Strong fixtures as well. Obviously you'd need someone in around game week 7 and game week 8 when the fixtures do start to flag. But other than that, I probably would say, you'd back them at Leicester at home, you'd probably back them at Ipswich away, and then maybe if they could get a clean sheet between West Ham, Nottingham Forest and Fulham, and West Ham, sorry, then, you know, 3 clean sheets out of the next 5. That could be very, very decent for a 4.5 million. So if you are looking for a Kwanzaa replacement, I know some of us are also looking for an Aina replacement as he picked up an injury. Maybe you're not 100% convinced after Everton's dismal performance today as well, where they got battered 4-0. Then maybe Robinson could be the 4.5 million you go for. And probably I would put him up there as one of my defensive top recommendations if you are in the market for a 4.5 million defender. Right, let's move on to the next section. I want to talk about Manchester United. I've had a lot of people DM me, a lot of friends, a lot of people on Twitter as well, asking me about United assets and whether or not they are worth going for. My personal opinion, no. I just don't think the fixtures are quite there. I know the Brighton one next is in green, but we just saw what they did to Everton as well. Brighton have a pretty good home record against Manchester United. Obviously, there's no Pascal Gross this year to obviously dick them, but still, it's a pretty good record as well. And they definitely showed that they've got that attacking capability. And I still feel United look very fragile at times at the back, despite conceding very limited XG. Then it's Liverpool at home, so that's a bit of a write-off. You don't really know how that one's going to go. Southampton away. I did think Southampton looked spirited against Newcastle, but failing to score against the 10-man side, probably not the best. So I probably would put that down as a United win. Palace away, depends how Palace start the season. Tottenham at home, again, really don't know with that one. Same with Villa. Then it does start to pick up with Brentford, West Ham, Leicester. It starts to pick up at that point. But as we can see here, I don't think there's a good fixture there, or one fixture that I'd be very, very happy to back United assets on up until probably game week 8. The Southampton one is the best one they're going to get in there. The rest of that run for me is just not worth touching. I definitely think at some point the United assets will come into play, but we need to see how these new signings adapt at the back, because you don't go overnight from the 16th worst team for XG conceded all the way to one of the top teams. It just doesn't happen overnight. So I'm going to have to wait and see a little bit more on that one. Bruno did create a lot of opportunities and should have got an attacking return. I think if you were to go for any player, Bruno Fernandes or Garnacho are the two that I would highlight as my kind of top picks. I expect Garnacho to definitely play over the next few as well. Obviously was benched. I think he just needs to get himself back up to match fitness after obviously playing in the Copa America. But you could definitely tell there was an energy increase when he came onto the field, and I think he looked very, very bright and could have come away with a very, very nice return off the bench with a goal and assist, missing a stinker with a 0.8 XG chance. But for me, you know what? I still think, you know, that fixture run is just not appetising enough for me to go near any Manchester United assets. You know, Garnacho's not bad at 6.5. Bruno at 8.5 is decent. He'll play 90 minutes. But the new signings, Zerki, you know, people have outlined some of the defenders as well. De Ligt, not for me personally worth any consideration. And finishing up today's transfer targets video, I wanted to look at some projected data from Fantasy Football Hub. Obviously, if you want to go and check out all this for yourself, use a link in the description. Now, you might be asking, Tom, why are you looking at all this projected data? Why has this come around and why are you doing it? Well, if you look how the AI team is doing in game week 1, I think Holly Shand obviously tweeted it. It's on 81 points already after you know, just Saturday games have finished. It is absolutely flying. The AI algorithm has been, you know, modeled, and it's doing extremely well with points and some of the player points projections as well that it's already picked out. Definitely cooking, and I think, you know, using AI and statistics is going to have a massive impact on your game. So that's why we're going to look at it for this next section. This is going to be the game week 2 anytime returns. As you can see, these are some of the top players for this list. As a non-Haaland owner, that looks quite scary. An 87% chance of a return, a 36% chance of a brace as well. This was what I was saying as well. If you are thinking, you know, Haaland blanks tomorrow, you're thinking about ripping up your whole team to go and get Salah in and replace Haaland, don't do that. Look at some of the data that he's got coming up. 87% chance of a return at any point. That is scary. That is ridiculous. However, though, it does bode quite well for us Salah owners with a 65% chance as well. So, you know, we've still got a good avenue to some points as well, which is pretty decent. Saka and KDB also in there. I think if KDB starts the game tomorrow, he definitely could be a great asset to go and pick up in that 9.5 million price tag point, especially, you know, if you've got the likes of Phil Foden. If you went for him, I don't think he's going to play, so KDB could be the switch, but he could be one of those players that's super low owned at the start. You take advantage of that nice City run between 2 and 4. Could be a decent player. Also in here for the expected returns as well. Alexander Isak with Bournemouth away. again, I probably would say not worth captaincy this week, but, you know, everybody's got him. So, again, very, very high chance of it. Son, interestingly, makes the list. I'm very, very happy to have Son in my team at the moment. We'll have to see how he gets on Monday, but 53% chance. Hopefully him and Salah and Saka can cover off that Erling Haaland 87%. And then some other interesting players as well on here. Diego Jota at 51%. I've outlined him as a potential asset in today's video and think he could be a great pickup at that 7.5 million price tag. And then obviously Cole Palmer, that Chelsea run after the City game, it's pretty saucy, isn't it? Wolves, Palace, Bournemouth, West Ham, Brighton and Nottingham Forest. It's a great set of runs, and maybe Cole Palmer is one of those players that we are potentially undervaluing at the moment. Close to a 50% chance of any time return in Game Week 2 as well, so probably worth a little bit of consideration for the next few weeks. Right, let's move on to the final section of today's video. If you did enjoy it, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. It is going to be the Hub's predictor, the predicted points for Game Week 2 to Game Week 6. Like I said, there is a link in the description if you want to go and check out the website for yourself and look at all this cool data and take full advantage of it. And it obviously gives you AI recommendations about your side as well. Mohamed Salah is currently leading the way. There is a slightly bigger gap than what it was between Game Week 1 and Game Week 5 between him and Haaland. So very, very interesting to see that one. I just outlined Cole Palmer as a potential player that we might be sleeping on with this Chelsea run. I know a lot of the casuals have him, but a lot of more engaged managers, I didn't really see him in any kind of content creators side either, or anyone with a real kind of plan to go and get him. Maybe for me, I could potentially sell Son off after Game Week 2 and look to Cole Palmer, especially if he delivers against Wolves with some high projected points over that period as well. Could be a decent asset. I think as well some other names we've outlined in here, Phil Foden and KDB. Obviously, I think their minutes will start to increase as they get themselves up to match fitness as well. So those could be two decent assets with great fixtures between 2 and 4 for Manchester City as well. Bruno Fernandes, I did say he was one of the only Manchester United assets I probably would touch with a barge pole. The rest, though, I probably wouldn't be really kind of too keen on as well. Some other interesting names down the bottom. Muniz, we've already spoke about him potentially being a decent asset. He's the highest forward, as you can see on this list, under I think 7.5 million, so bodes quite well for him as well. And then Andy Robertson making the bottom of this list. Originally in the first video I did back in the summer on the AI team, it did have Andy Robertson in the side. Now he's back in this list as well. Played today a good proportion of minutes as well. If you are looking maybe for a cheaper way into that Liverpool back line, he could be the one to do it. As we saw with the 11FI data as well, high chance of predicted clean sheets. Obviously, if you want to take a screenshot of that, be my guest or go and check it out for yourself in the link in the description. Like I said, guys, we are trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you do enjoy any of the content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. But thank you very much for watching today, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck in Game Week 2.